Hi guys, and welcome to or welcome back to the No Gluten Zone. I create content for people with what I call food issues. That can be food sensitivities, intolerances, allergies, autoimmune issues that affect your diet. All of that falls into one big category and affects our lives very similarly, sort of across the board. Today's video is, I guess, slightly off topic, but it is part of a series I've been doing on detoxing. A lot of us have issues where we need to detox who fall into these food issue categories. And so it's been a series I've been working on, and I've been trying to get to this one. This is the coffee enema video. Coffee enemas have really helped me personally in many ways with detoxing and other things that I will get into in this video. This is an enema bucket. So, disclaimer, I am not a doctor, but I am actually a registered nurse, and I was trained in nursing school on doing enemas. So I see a lot of other people talk about doing enemas, especially coffee enemas, and there are some things that they're not discussing that I really made me want to do this video and discuss those things. So I do think this will be a very good video, a very needed video for many people. Please like, subscribe, and share this video for other people who could use this information. One of the first things I want to mention is, as a nurse, it's shocking how much of your schooling involves priming tubing. Different types of tubing. There's enema tubing, IV tubing, feeding tubings. There's more. I know there's more. I can't even think of it all at the moment, but there is so much tubing. It all needs to be primed. And what that basically means is to not have any air bubbles in your tubing, because it doesn't matter where you're putting whatever it is. It could be a feeding or an IV fluid or an IV medication or an enema or what have you. None of that needs air entering along with the item. And in some cases, it can be very dangerous. In the case of an enema, it's just very uncomfortable because you're putting air in. You're gonna have gas pains. It's basically like you're just putting gas into yourself, and you will get the gas cramping pain, and you will have to pass that gas. So just prime your tubing well and just don't have to deal with that is really the best way to do that. Another thing I did not expect to learn in nursing school is just properties of gravity, and that does go along with all these things with tubing. Some things are put onto pumps like IV fluids and feedings. Sometimes you have to do them without pumps, and then you need to know the principles of gravity and how to control the timing of it and that sort of thing. Enemas don't go on pumps, but gravity still applies very much. And so the most important aspect of gravity with an enema is the higher the bucket is in relation to your body, the faster it's going to flow, and the lower it is in relation to your body, the slower it's going to flow. So you can control the speed of the flow by raising or lowering either your enema bucket or your body, depending where you're at. So this can be very important, because if it's flowing too quickly, you can get cramping and discomfort, and you'll want to slow it down. I do recommend you always have your clamp in your hand the whole time, so that if you feel a cramp, you're not hunting for the clamp while you're like cramping up, right? You can just clamp it instantly when you start to feel any discomfort or cramping. If you have discomfort or cramping like over and over every time you open it up, then you would probably want to lower it. It's probably going too fast. If, however, it's not moving or it's taking forever to go in, then you probably need to raise it up. So I always hang mine here. This is my towel rack. I have this little hook that came with an enema bucket, and I hang it here. And then I am on the floor. I put a towel down on the floor, and this is where I do it, in my bathroom. Some people do it on the bed. I know someone who does it in her kitchen, and she hangs this on like the drawers under the kitchen counter, and then there's drawers, and she will hook this somewhere on the drawers, and she can, depending which drawer she chooses, is how she controls the height. If you have something like this, and this is too high for you, you can kind of finagle different ways a wire hanger. This is like, I was hunting. We have a ton of these. I don't know where they all went. My husband goes to the dry cleaners all the time. And as soon as I need one for demonstration purposes, this is the only one I can find. And it has this weird cardboard thing on it because it had pants hanging on it. So to not crease the pants, they put this. But it makes it a little more difficult. But you can, well, it shouldn't have come apart. But you can, you know, put it like in this kind of shape. And then some towel racks have like a little knob. You could hang this on the knob and then hook your bucket down here. Right? Or if you had this kind of hook, you could hook this. If it didn't have this big cardboard thing on it, it could hook right here. And that would then lower it. You know, just different things like that. You could even, you know, have a string or a yarn to hang it lower if you needed to. Just remember the weight of this once you put liquid in it. Right now, it's really light. One other thing I will comment on is a lot of people like to buy the stainless steel enema buckets for their coffee enemas. That is totally okay. It's just not my personal preference because I like to change these out periodically. This is used. It's very clean. I keep my stuff very, very clean. My tubing is clean. This has been used many times, but every year, couple of years, I do like to toss them out and just start with a brand new one. I always choose one that's BPA free. I always get them on Amazon. I will link this one if it's still available. I'll link it down below. Not an affiliated link, just FYI, but I will link this one in case you're looking. But the thing is, people say, oh, don't use plastic, and they buy the stainless steel one, but the tubing is still plastic. And aside from throwing them out and starting fresh, because even if I can clean the stainless steel better, I can't sterilize it and start all over again. Like this comes much cleaner than I could ever get it when I get a new one. But a lot of times what will go bad on these first is the tubing. It cracks and breaks and starts leaking, and so then you have to replace it. So that would happen on a stainless steel one anyways. So if you want that, totally fine, go for it. It's just not my personal preference for those reasons. I stick with plastic ones. And then you definitely want to put some kind of lubricant on the tip of this. It just makes for a much more comfortable experience. Some people use castor oil. Some people use Vaseline. Some people use aloe vera type jelly things, you know, water-based lubricants like KY. So just, I would say try out different ones and see what you like best, but definitely use some form of lubricant there on the end of your tubing. The next thing I want to talk about is your position. There are a lot of positions that you can use when you have the enema flowing. The standard one, you lay on your right side and you draw your left knee up to your chest. That is like a very standard enema position, but you can be on your hands and knees. You can all have your legs up against a wall. There's a lot of different positions. You can Google it and look for enema positions and then find something comfortable for you. I will say this is something that varies a lot each time I do it. There can be differences in how my body's responding and how I'm feeling and what I'm needing. So I would say listen to your body and be willing to try different positions if it's not working, you know, different flow rates, things like that. This is not something where you're going to just do it automatically the same way every single time. You have to really be listening to your body when you're doing this. Another thing is sometimes people add herbs to the coffee, and some people just do herbal enemas. For the coffee, you want an organic, regular coffee, not a decaf. You need the caffeine in there. I drink decaf, but I always have regular coffee in my house for this purpose. And so you can make the coffee in different ways. Some people just boil it in water on the stove and then strain it out and use that. I just make it in my French press. Years ago, I had a drip coffee maker and I would make it in there, but you want to make it a little stronger than you normally would. I do it in my French press, more coffee to water than I normally would for drinking, and I let it sit for 10 minutes, the brew time, you know, steeping time in the French press. So it's much stronger than I would normally make. Temperature, you want to let it cool off. You do not want to put hot coffee into your body like that. You could burn the inside of your intestines, and that would be a horrible situation. If it's too cold, it can cause some cramping and discomfort. It won't hurt you in any way, but it can be uncomfortable. I would hate for your first experience to be bad, and then you might not ever want to try it again. So try to get it lukewarm for sure, like at least your first time doing this. That is the best. Sometimes my timing is just off. I'm busy and it's hard for me to find time where I can be alone. So that is always my challenge, and my timing is hard. So I cannot just wait around for the perfect temperature, and I will take it cold. Sometimes it's not lukewarm, it's cold, and I'll still do it. But definitely don't do it hot. Do cold rather than hot, but lukewarm is ideal. As far as herbs go, chamomile is very common, podarco, wormwood, linden, and some people add castor oil into it as well. I also have this book. I wanted to recommend it. I got this on Amazon. It is the Healing Enema Cookbook. It has over 50 enema recipes, and it's written by Elizabeth Morgan. And I recommend this. It also goes over like positioning and things like that. So very good book. When you do an enema, it's very much like the same result if you had diarrhea in a sense to your body, because you're going to be removing stool earlier than normal. And so in that case, you are going to lose electrolytes. So on days that I do this, I always replace electrolytes later. Some people do this every single day. I think that would be pretty awesome, but my schedule at this time in this season of my life does not allow for that. Some people do it, once a week, every other week, once a month. Some people, I think it's like the Gerson protocols. I think they're doing it like several times a day even. So it just depends on your situation and your needs. Definitely listen to your body. Depends how toxic you are and that sort of thing. A big debate is to do water enemas first or not. It seems to be a matter of personal preference. I always do water first, because you're going to have stool in your intestine. And if you just put the coffee in there, the stool starts absorbing the fluid that you put in. So there's two issues. Number one is the stool is absorbing the coffee rather than your body. And then number two, as the stool absorbs the coffee, it expands, and then you feel the need to have a bowel movement, and you can't hold the coffee in there like you should be. So I always do water first until I'm pretty clear and there's no more stool in the way, and then I will do the coffee. And I try to hold it 10 minutes. Again, this is something that varies quite a bit every single time. Some days I can't hold it long, some days I can. And so you just listen to your body and do what you can. Doing a coffee enema will boost your body's glutathione production 600 to 700%. And glutathione is what you need to detox. That's the biggest factor in detoxing, is getting your body's glutathione production up. And so a lot of times on the days that I do this, I will also take a glutathione supplement. So it kind of boosts it even more and makes it even more helpful. Same thing when I sauna. Sauna boosts your glutathione, and I usually will also take a glutathione supplement on the days that I sauna too. And the reason you need caffeinated coffee is because it stimulates and opens up the bile duct, and it releases toxins out of there. And without the caffeine, that it doesn't happen. So that stimulation of the bile duct is from the caffeine. This can also help eliminate parasites. A lot of people use it for that, as well as just general detoxing. It cleanses the bowels, of course, anything in there, cleaning it out definitely does that. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which can be really important for certain situations and health issues. It definitely drops histamine levels. I use it for this quite a bit, because on occasions my histamine level is just out of control, and this is one of the things I do to drop it quickly. And one final thing I wanted to talk about is cleanliness. So your intestines have a lot of bacteria in there. And people talk about good bacteria versus bad bacteria. And one thing that people always seem to leave out is location. Location is key here because there are bacteria in your intestine that are fantastic there. They're supposed to be there. They're doing their job. They're breaking things down. That's what they do. But if you take those bacteria and put them in your eye, in your throat, in your lungs, in your bladder, in your bloodstream, you're going to have a huge problem. And so it needs to stay in the intestine and then it's good. Anywhere else, it's not going to be good. And so I do know people who like never wash their hands and they don't really clean stuff, and they say like, it's my own germs that like they're part of me and like they're not hurting me, so I don't need to worry about it. But they never consider the location of those germs. So this, because you're dealing with your intestine, there's a lot of bacteria involved here. So this is something just to be extra cautious with and make sure you're very clean. As you can see, I clean this really well. It is not sterilized though. I don't have a sterilizer. I don't have a way to sterilize this. So there are still germs. I clean it as well as I can. So that would be aseptic, but not sterile. So it's just something to be cautious with. Be cautious in wherever you're doing it. Don't be spilling all over and making a mess. And if you do, clean it and sanitize it well to keep from spreading bacteria all over the place, right? So that is another issue that I don't see many people talk about that I think is really, really important. Okay, so I am going to show you how to prime your tubing. When I make my coffee, I make it in the kitchen. Then I transfer it into a mason jar, and I usually just bring this in the bathroom and let it sit and cool down in here. And then whenever I'm ready to go, it's here. So I am going to pour it in here. You can make more than this. This is just what my French press makes. Sometimes I will make 2 batches and have them in 2 mason jars and then do that. Okay, so the coffee is in here. I will hang it up. And then I put the tip over the sink before I unclamp. And you can see there's no coffee in the tubing. So then you're gonna unclamp it, and lifting it up gets it going. You can see it's not moving past this spot because it's up, but lifting up gets it going in here much quicker. Then dip it down, and then pulling it straight really helps get all the air bubbles out. And this is a very thick tubing and a very stiff tubing. So air bubbles aren't a huge issue here. When you get like really soft, thin, like IV tubing, those are impossible with air bubbles. This is not that bad, but I just mention it because you want to make sure you don't have air bubbles, or you will get the gas cramping and have to pass the gas. So that is it. You will get yourself into position. You will lube your tip. And then after you insert it, you let go of the clamp, you open the clamp. And then I highly recommend keeping the clamp in your hands the whole time. When I get this, it's usually, I think, much further up on the tubing. And so I always end up positioning it where I can reach it while I'm laying down on the floor here. And so I keep it in my hand the whole time. And if you feel any cramping or any discomfort, just stop it, just wait. It will usually pass, and then you can open it and let it go. If it just continues, it's probably too high. You're probably flowing too quickly, and you need to find a way to lower it. It doesn't have to hang. If you have something like a furniture or something that you can sit it on, that is totally okay too, as long as it's sitting on the edge and the tubing's not being clamped or anything like that. The tubing can kind of hang over that edge. So I hope this was helpful. I think I covered everything. If there was something you still have a question about, please ask in the comments below, and I will definitely get back to you on that. And if you have tried them before, leave a comment and let me know how you like them. And if you haven't, and you do try for the first time, please leave a comment and let me know how it went. Have a great day, guys, and God bless you.